Set Operations Tool Genomic Data Commons, GDC 2.0 Video Guides, Charlotte Sackett, GDC User Services Scientific Support Analyst, Center for Translational Data Science, University of Chicago. Introduction to the Set Operations Tool. The GDC's Set Operations Tool compares up to 3 of the same set type, either cohorts, gene sets, or mutation sets. In this video, we will use the Set Operations Tool to generate a Venn diagram, summary table, and overlap table for our chosen sets. How to access the Set Operations Tool. To access the Set Operations Tool, we will first load the GDC's Data Portal homepage at portal.gdc.cancer.gov, then click on Analysis Center, which is the computer screen icon in the upper left corner of the web page. Under the Analysis Tools section, we will locate the Set Operations card, which is last in this tutorial. Please note that the locations of the tool cards may change, so it is important to read the title of the cards. Once we have located the Set Operations card, we will click on the Play button in the upper right corner of the tile. How to use the Set Operations tool. When the Set Operations tool is launched, we have the option to select up to 3 of the same set types: cohorts, gene sets, or mutation sets. In the bottom half of the page is the Set Operations selection area, which lists previously saved cohorts, gene sets, and mutation sets. Note that before we can run the Set Operations tool, we need to have at least 2 sets of one set type already created. If you do not have 2 cohorts, gene sets, or mutation sets, please pause this video and use the cohort builder or mutation frequency tools to create them. You can refer to the GDC cohort builder video or the GDC mutation frequency video for assistance. Now we can select 2 or 3 of the same set type that we previously created. Note that even though the cohort toolbar displays the active cohort, this is not selected for the Set Operations tool by default, as we may want to compare gene sets or mutation sets rather than cohorts. In this tutorial, 2 cohorts of TCGA BRCA cases, one with TP53 mutations and another with CDH1 mutations, will be used by checking their corresponding boxes in the Select column. Finally, we'll click the teal Run button in the bottom right corner of the page. Once the Set Operations tool is run, 3 features are automatically generated: a summary table, Venn diagram, and overlap table. At the top of the page is a summary table which displays key information about our chosen sets, including the aliases, S1, S2, and S3 if 3 sets were selected, the entity type, cohort, gene, or mutation, the name for each set, as well as the number of items in each set. In this example, S1 represents the cohort of TCGA BRCA cases with TP53 mutations, and S2 represents the cohort of TCGA BRCA cases with CDH1 mutations. By clicking on the column header, Number Items, we can sort the sets in ascending or descending order. Sorting by descending order, we can see that the cohort of TCGA BRCA cases with TP53 mutations is slightly larger with 717 items compared to the cohort of TCGA BRCA cases with CDH1 mutations, which has 714 items. To the left of the summary table is the Venn diagram, which visually displays the relationships among the sets. Since this example uses 2 sets, there are 2 circles labeled S1 on the left and S2 on the right to show the number of cases exclusive to each cohort. If a third cohort was chosen, an additional circle labeled S3 would appear below and between the S1 and S2 circles. Any cases that appear in more than one cohort will be displayed in the overlapping sections of the Venn diagram. For example, there are 485 TCGA BRCA cases that have both TP53 and CDH1 mutations. Cohorts and their subsets can be selected by clicking on the respective sections of the Venn diagram. Clicking on these sections simultaneously checks the corresponding subsets in the overlap table, which is underneath the summary table. The overlap table contains the same information as the Venn diagram, but displays the number of overlapping items with set operations rather than as a visual. The select, number items, and download columns can be used to create new cohorts, which will be demonstrated next. Creating cohorts from the Set Operations tool. The Set Operations tool allows users to create new cohorts based on subsets. We can use the buttons in each row of the overlap table, or click the corresponding areas in the Venn diagram to select specific subsets for inclusion in our new cohort. As an example, I can create a cohort consisting of TCGA BRCA cases with both TP53 and CDH1 mutations by selecting the orange and white button labeled plus 485, corresponding to the overlap between S1 and S2. When we click on a button in the Number Items column, a pop-up window opens where we can save and name the new cohort. I will name the new cohort TCGA BRCA, TP53, and CDH1 mutations. Once we click the teal Save button in the bottom right corner, the cohort will save as indicated by a message at the top of the screen, and the Set Operations tool page will return. New cohorts can also consist of multiple subsets, as rows are selected either by clicking the areas in the Venn diagram or using the Select column in the overlap table. The bottom row, called Union of Selected Sets, is populated. We can use the orange and white button corresponding to this row to create a cohort consisting of multiple subsets. To create a new cohort consisting of TCGA BRCA cases with only TP53 mutations or CDH1 mutations, we will check the boxes corresponding to S1 exclusive of S2 and S2 exclusive of S1, respectively. As rows in the overlap table are selected, the union of selected sets sums the number of items in each subset. The cohort with only TP53 mutations consists of 232 cases, and the cohort with only CDH1 mutations consists of 229 cases. So combined, the new cohort will consist of 461 cases. As in the previous example, once we click the orange and white plus number items button, we can name and save the new cohort, which will be called TCGA BRCA, TP53, or CDH1 mutations. Exporting subsets. Each row in the overlap table has a button in the download column which can be used to export the subset. The downloaded TSV file contains the subset as a list of UUIDs, which are GDC-specific universally unique identifiers. This TSV file can be used to import a set of cases as a new cohort in the cohort toolbar, as described in the GDC Cohort Builder video. To export a TSV of the TP53 and CDH1 mutations subset, we will click the Download button in the corresponding row. The exported TSV file contains the UUIDs of all 485 cases in that subset. Exiting the Set Operations tool. To exit, we can click the X button to the left side of the Set Operations header, which will bring us back to the Analysis Center. For more guidance on this and other GDC data portal tools, please refer to the video tutorials or go to docs.gdc.cancer.gov.